Hello, in this video I'm going to go over the giving analysis settings inside of Razor's Edge NXT. These settings are really important to review so that you can ensure that the dashboard's calculations of committed, received, and recognition credit are correct, as these drive and override any other settings that you may be selecting inside of a dashboard in terms of gift types. So whenever you're in RE NXT, you're going to click on Settings in the left pane and then click Control Panel. Whenever this opens up, then you're going to click on Giving Analysis. And the Giving Analysis is going to bring up three various types of calculations that need to be reviewed. So each one of these most of the time are going to be slightly different, just depending on your organization's preferences. So you would need to click Configure to go into each one to update the settings. The received revenue is measuring, or what you would whenever you're reporting out money in the door, including one-time gifts, payments, and stock. That is going to be considered received. The committed revenue metric is more about trying to capture the total amount given, whether it's to a campaign or over a certain amount of time. That would include pledges. So even if that money is not yet received, but we want to calculate it and count it in our fundraising totals to gauge the success of our fundraising efforts, then we want to make sure that we're calculating committed according to those standards and expectations. Recognition is really looking at a donor's overall giving totals. So anytime you're looking at the lifetime giving on a donor record, or you're looking at the lifetime giving in an export, this is where that recognition is going to be calculating, or is going to be also affecting the number that you would see for that donor. So to kind of clarify as well where you're going to see these calculations, received and committed revenue is where the committed and received revenue you are going to find in dashboards. So whether it's an out-of-the-box dashboard or something that you customize, these are the calculations that are used there. Recognition you are going to see on an individual donor's record and is calculated based on each record. So if we were going to go into the received revenue, whenever we click Configure, it will open up a box where we then get to go and pick what types of gifts that we, and when I say we, I mean our organization has decided this is what we consider to be received dollars. This is also important as well to check in with your finance team and to make sure that everyone's on the same page with how received revenue is being calculated and counted. So Blackbaud settings are always going to include one-time gifts as part of the received revenue, and then you can go in and select whatever other gift types that you would like. It is very common, and I would even recommend to say usually for received revenue you're looking at one-time or cash gifts, pledge payments of all kinds, whether it's a matching gift or just a regular pledge, and you're looking at stock and recurring gift payments. So anything where you actually have money come in the door, that is what you want to count as received dollars. Some organizations also will include gift types of other and gift in kind, just depending on how you enter that information in the system and what that means in terms of your overall received revenue and finances. It's defaulted to automatically exclude zero amount gifts. So if a gift comes through BBMS, for example, as a $0 gift, or you adjust something to $0, it's not going to count those gifts. So for example, if you're looking at a dashboard and you say show me our received dollars, but then you want to say show me how many received gifts we have. If you've received 100 gifts this month and 2 of those gifts have since been or came into the system as $0 gifts, or they were adjusted to $0 gifts, those, if we click exclude, then it's going to count 98 gifts received. So that's really an organizational preference as to how you want to count or not count zero amount gifts. These options under stocks, if you are using the sale amount and all of the features with stock where it will change it to sold stock, if you are using that as part of your processes, then you want to pay attention to these checkboxes as far as, do you want to use the sale amount for sold stock, and then do you want to subtract broker fees? Many organizations don't handle the selling of the stock, or at least coding the selling of the stock inside of Razor's Edge. Usually that's a finance function. So many times organizations are not using the sold stock, so you could leave this blank if so. For planned gifts, if you do include a planned gift count or a planned gift type in your received revenue, and then that planned gift is then received and realized, it is going to subtract the difference to prevent any double counting, so you don't have to worry about that as well. If we look at the committed revenue, so again, going back to our little committed revenue, we're going to click configure, and it's going to bring up a very similar screen, and it's going to let us know that if you're focused on commitments, it's always going to default to include pledges, and then you can include any other gifts that you would like. Typically for committed, we see one-time gifts or cash, pledges, stock, matching gift pledges, and then recurring gift payments. And then again, with other and gift in kind, that's really up to the organization of how they want to track and count those. Again, we have options to exclude zero amount gifts. So same thing as with receive. Let's say you had 100 pledges that were written off and are now $0 gifts. Do we want to count those 100 gifts in our overall gift count of committed gifts? So if we have 1,000 gifts and or 1,000 pledges and 100 of those pledges get written off, do we want it to show that we had 1,000 committed gifts, or do we want it to show that we had 900 committed gifts? So that's the impact of this checkbox here. Again, with stocks, you can pick the associated checkbox to adjust the sale amounts, and same thing with the stocks. You can click the checkboxes to impact how those different options are being calculated with your stock. So if you are entering broker fees and using sale amounts inside of Razor's Edge, then you should click these amounts. Otherwise, if you're not using the sold stock features, I would leave these unchecked. But if you're not using it, it won't really matter anyway, because there's no information in there for it to use. For pledges, it does automatically, so in terms of a write-off, I highly recommend doing this, but it kind of goes back to your finance and accounting and even fundraising standards and kind of business rules. So what this will do is if you have a $1,000 pledge and let's say half of that gets written off, do you want the dashboard to show a pledge of $1,000 or a pledge of $500? If you click this checkbox, it is going to deduct the $500 that was written off and will show only and count only the $500 that is remaining or that is left in that pledge, as far as what is left in the pledge amount. So again, an important checkbox to make sure that you're paying attention to. Same thing with planned gifts. If you are counting planned gifts in your committed dollars and then the planned gift is realized, it will handle any double counting. So then on our last one, whenever we're looking at configuration, again, very similar. We're going to pick our gift types. On this one, the default is that it's always excluding $0 gifts. And again, you have options to check the boxes based on how you're entering stock. With pledges, if you are selecting all of the gift types, it will subtract, so if you are with pledges, my brain's tired. So with pledges, it will prevent double counting. So if you in the gift types have both the payment and the pledge selected, it's going to do the needed calculations on the back end to make sure that there's not double counting there. What I have learned and many others have likely learned in this particular area is the best thing to do is to select every single gift type. There is something weird that happens where it starts calculating recognition totals for donors very strangely if you don't have both the pledges and the payments selected. So my suggestion is to select all of the gift types and to then allow this setting here with pledges and pledge payments. It will appropriately handle those two things so that it doesn't double count any payments that have been applied to the pledge. Again, you need to make a business decision about how to calculate your write-offs, and handles planned gifts the exact same way. And then it does automatically handle and include any types of soft credits. So if there is a soft credit that is entered on the record appropriately, it will be reflected on the right, it will be reflected correctly on the donor's record according to how those soft credits are distributed on the gift. So once You have selected and determined your giving analysis under settings. I'm now going to kind of show how these, how those settings affect what you're going to see in a dashboard. So all of the out-of-the-box dashboards are the canned dashboards that come with the system. You know, all of the ones that say pre-configured dashboard. There are different selections on each one that are looking at the revenue type. So this is where your received and your committed settings on the back end are going to impact how this is calculating, because these do not give you the option to go in and select what specific gift types that you would like. So that's why it's important for any of these pre-configured dashboards to make sure that you understand how received and committed are being calculated. So in looking at some of the other dashboards and how the settings of received and committed will affect what you see in a custom dashboard, any calculations where it mentions a received or committed amount, that again is going to, and you can change it, you know, if you're applying a filter up here at the top, but just the out-of-the-box settings are going to calculate based on your settings. So gift amount, gift received, committed. There's, if you pull in, you know, received into a dashboard and it's showing you totals, all of those totals will be calculated based on those giving settings. And then if you have a dashboard that is, you know, looking at gifts or, you know, received versus committed, it again is going to be looking at the settings that you have set up and determined under giving analysis. So that's why it's really important before you start using dashboards to really make sure that you're understanding how those various gift types are being calculated. Whenever you're looking at a donor record, the impact of the recognition credit or the donor recognition is going to be, you're going to see that here. So this lifetime giving calculation is going to reflect what you've set up on recognition on the back end. So again, a really important area to look at when you're first setting up your database, or if you're getting reacquainted with your database, or you just notice that maybe some of your reports are incorrect and you can't figure out why. That's a really good first place to start.